So we have a question from a viewer in Egan that relates to some of, at least in passing anyway, to some of the excitement that we've been hearing about lately, and of course more directly because we just had a caucus. And this viewer says, lots of people want to have a presidential primary instead of a caucus. What are the chances for that? This viewer wants to know, will the party bosses let legislators vote for this? I think the days of the party bosses having that kind of authority came and went some time ago. But nonetheless, it's a great question. What about a primary instead of a caucus? Let's start with you, Senator.
You know, I think there's going to be some discussion on it this year, and I base that on two things. You know, my experience on caucus night and seeing how ours went okay. I wasn't in charge, but I was involved. Ours went okay, but we were nearly overrun. Mm-hmm. And other areas that weren't maybe quite as prepared or didn't have quite as good a venue were indeed overrun. I haven't seen the story, but I hear there's a story of one where people were turned away, literally turned away. And that's not how the caucus is supposed to work at all. And there does seem to be some bipartisan and bicameral and I guess you'd call it, not tricameral, I don't know when you include the governor, what's that called? The governor has said he's open to it. I know Roger Reinert on the Senate side publicly today stated he's putting a bill in. Pat Garofalo in the House has publicly stated he's going to put a bill in. So I think there might be some discussion on it. How does that play out? I'm not sure. I'd be interested in what you two gentlemen think.
Should we ask you, Representative? What do you think?
You know, I was amazed with the caucuses. I went to Jordan first and just greeted when people came, then went over to New Prague, and they were lined up outside the door, and finally got over to Elko Newmarket, and the crowds were overwhelming. But one thing that did impress me was that after people voted, they left. So maybe they are ready for a primary, because the caucus thing is nice because it's the typical gathering and sharing of views and electing the delegates, and it's just a nice process for people to see what's going on and be part of it. But by the same token, today's society, I think, is more vote and leave, which might be more inclined toward a primary.
I thought the big crowds were for my birthday. It was my birthday on caucus night. I thought that's why they were there. But I think, and I've had a lot of questions and a lot of emails in the last 2 days, and I've had some public forums where people have been asking about it, and regardless of party, because they're overwhelmed in many of these locations. I think what we need, saying we're going to put in a bill and we're going to change it to a primary, the answer is to do what? Because when you think about, if we break down what this is, there's an election, and that's what could be done in a primary, the straw vote or the vote for presidential preference. We conducted an election for presidential preference. But then at a caucus, we also do delegate selection, we do resolutions, and we elect party infrastructure. And there were a lot of people who came in and just wanted to vote. And there's the Texas model, the Texas two-step, is you have the primary during the day, and people can vote, and they're used to voting. Now, if we had to set up a primary in March, that would be a great cost, and we'd certainly hear from our local governments on that. But right now, the party conducts the election. And I think there's a greater confidence, if we're in 2016, to have the state conduct the election, so you can have the ballot, maybe looking at absentee ballots, maybe look at online voting, maybe look at the new technologies to make sure we can get people enfranchised in that decision. But the benefit that was there for the folks who stayed was you have a community conversation. And today we don't have many community conversations. And it's by precinct, so it's literally your neighbors. And so I know I had to run my precinct because the convener wasn't there. And that
welcome to the world of volunteer-run organizations.
It's a volunteer thing, but people were respectful. It was they all knew it's a volunteer thing, and so that community conversation I think we need to try to keep. So I think what Texas does is you vote during the day, and you could vote at night. But if you voted during the day, then you come in and conduct the business. And I think an opportunity we would have is many of the folks that were coming in haven't been in the school since they were in school, or their kids were in school, or their grandkids were in school. And I think we've got to look at our schools as kind of a community center where people are comfortable coming into their schools and doing things like caucusing or having community meetings. I know there's a cost to that as well. But we do school board elections. and we do school levy elections where it's not every polling place, but often those are located in the school. And I think, I know in my district, we were all at one location. And if we'd had a location in South St. Paul, a location in West St. Paul, a location in Mendota Heights, that may have made it work easier. So I think there's an opportunity because there's the demand and we react to demand. I think there's an opportunity to do some reform here. And maybe this is something that could be bipartisan. If we just say switch to a primary, I've been to national conventions. We meet with our peers around the state, around the country. And we have a unique delegation, I think, in both parties going to conventions because we have a caucus system. In many states, it's the person who's there for the delegation may be there because of a donation or because of who they know rather than going up through coming in and walking your precinct and going all the way to the national convention and voting. That's something that Minnesota has, and I think we need to try to keep that portion.
So, it's interesting. I remember in 1976, there was a floor fight at the Republican convention between the supporters of Ronald Reagan and Gerald Ford, and the last delegate elected to the national convention was Mark People. It's a name some of you may recognize. He's former state representative, now county commissioner in Blue Earth County, and he was the only Reagan delegate elected that year. But that's an example of that phenomenon that you're discussing. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Senator.
No, I was just going to comment. The night of the caucuses, it was a little crazy. If anyone went to the caucus, they saw that, particularly on the GOP side, where it turned out almost doubled. But someone asked me, how does this work? What is this all about? And I said, this is where anyone who wants to get involved in the political system can start and have their voice heard. This is grassroots politics at its grassiest. But sometimes it's a little dirty. It get a little messy.
And as indicated earlier, it's also a volunteer operation, and so if you don't have people who are experienced running this, and even if you do, it's a very different set of circumstances. So this has come up in past years, hasn't gone anywhere. I'm looking maybe at our two veteran legislators. Is there maybe a little bit more juice behind this than as we've seen in previous years?
On primary versus caucus? Yeah, I think there is interest in it. And like I said, there are two legislators who have announced publicly via Twitter and press release that they are going to introduce legislation. And the governor was asked about it today, I believe, and he said he's open to it. He's not opposed to it. So that means that there's at least neutrality in all three legs of the government, and there seems to be some proponents. So it could.
So stay tuned, I guess.
Well, I think we should try to keep the best and reform the rest and see what we can do. And if we can do that, I think we can pass a bipartisan bill.